with you this afternoon. And I'd like to take my thanks to the organizers of this convention for choosing a wonderful theme text. Enter into his gates with praise and thanksgiving and be thankful to his name. All along we have been giving thanks, and even now we continue to give praise to his name. And again, the wonderful theme of our study about what our master was teaching about in the book of Matthew. I'm sure by the time we leave here, we'll be taught and we'll live another life indeed. My name is Laban, Ssewanya, and I'm coming from Uganda, and I voted to bring greetings for my dear wife, Sarah. He loves you so much and is praying for everything that's going around here. Each time I hear her says, I'm praying for you, so I know he's with us. Secondly, I bring love of so many brethren we serve in Uganda. They love and they loved us to be here. So know that they are your brothers there. They love you and they are praying and pressing on hard to make the calling and election sure. So this evening, this afternoon was requested by the fellow brothers to share with you a thought about Matthew 23, verses 16 to 24 to 22, about how the master was sounding warning about hypocrisy and Phariseeism. So we will read this text. Woe unto you, you blind guides, which say, whosoever that swear by the temple is nothing, but soever shall swear by gold of the temple is a debtor. You fools and blind, for whether is greater the gold or the temple that sanctifies the gold? And whosoever shall swear by the altar, is it nothing? But whosoever swears by the gift that is upon it is guilty. You fools and blind, for whether is greater, the gift or the altar that sanctifies the gift? Whosoever therefore shall swear by the altar swears by it and by all things thereon. And so shall swear by the temple sweareth it, and by him that dwells therein. And that shall swear by the heaven sweareth by the throne of God and by him that sits on the throne. Dear brethren, the most important lesson from Matthew 23 is that our loving Master and Savior, showing us the need of internal integrity, mercy and humility over external worship and faith display, sternly warning against the spirit of pretense and deception, of acting with a corrupt heart, with a corrupt spiritual while harboring a corrupt heart. Our Master defines the greatness of serving others as the most important, precious work that we can do, rather than seeking status, titles, and praise in our services and in our narrow way. We have noted the Master from this word that we have just read in his message. He called the leaders of such kind and servants, he brands them by 7 brands. He called them hypocrites, children of hell. He called them the blind guides, fools, whitewashed, tombs, and murderers and serpents. But in our case study, as so many other brothers have been speaking about the same lesson, we we would take a look at the blind guides and the fools. Who are they? So that we may be aware, because it is a warning. And the warning of that day, it is a warning to us, the current disciples, because the Master was speaking to his disciples. And right now, who are the blind guides? In the book of Matthew 15:14, the Master says, let them alone. They be blind leaders of the blind. Moreover, if the blind leads the blind, both shall fall into the ditch. So, now, the blind leaders, we could talk about them as elders, we can talk about them as bishops, servants, of Christendom and Babylon, who branded themselves as apostolic bishops and teachers, who under certain misguidance led the weak believers into atrocious errors and doctrines of devils. Well, there could be a question to ourselves, because it's not about talking about them of the past, but could there be amongst us leaders or elders or deacons elsewhere who would love to be treating ourselves with the same regard? Then the Apostle Paul is also writing and is warning his devoted servant, just as I'm speaking to fellow believers today. He says, now the Spirit expressly, that in the later times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirit and doctrines of devils, lies in hypocrisy, pretense, having their conscience seared with hot iron. Now the problem is, we may have received the truth. Praise be to our Father. Of course, as we are here in the house, we all know we have received the faith, the truth. And it is our most precious thing that we do have. But again, it is possible, because we are in the days that we can fall from the truth. We can divert from it just slightly, just as we have been hearing about the blind spiritual sport can lead some of us, if we are not careful enough, and slip our way from the truth, and we may become pretenders. The real message is, when many of us, it is possible for some of us to be pretenders of what we have. Maybe for the brothers to see and recognize what we can do, for the brothers to convince the brother that I am so and so, and yet I'm not that. It could be hypocrisy. It can be a spiritual pretense. And therefore, we need to be careful. I'd like to quote something from the messenger of the Church of Laodicea and the bishop of this great truth movement. In our 54, 56, 79 expressed that these blind leaders are those who did not get the truth of the Master's teaching. In John chapter 8, 44, 43, 44, remember when he was discussing with his Jewish brothers, because they were his brothers, and was reasoning to the teachers, because they had not received the true spirit of the Master's teaching, and therefore they were misled by the adversary. And as he was sharing with them, they were not understanding. So as they continued in the sharing, the Master asked, why do you not understand my speech? Even because you cannot hear my word, you belong to your father, the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks, he speaketh a lie of his own, for he is a liar and a father of lies. It is possible that we may fail to understand when the Master has spoken to us, when he has put the attention of the truth towards us, some portion of the truth, maybe, and we fail to understand him, and we be just blind, just like the Pharisees of the time. So it is very important to take a careful study of what we call truth. Even to myself, I need always to do a study to make what I call the truth my own and to live it. So the Pharisees and scribes tried to make the Master's statement that they were sacrilegious. They endeavored to entrap him in his words. We have fellow members who always they ask questions to entrap us. When they are known, their desire is known for someone to learn, to express themselves and show it, but I want to see, how does he? There's a brother whom I know, each time he will ask you, what are you learning about? Have you learned about this one? Now, what is this? With the question of maybe showing how much you studied. That's not my approach. I don't want to show you how much I have studied. The 4 Gospels were written, but the last Gospel is my Gospel, which is written about me. What do people read about? What do people read from me without reading the Bibles? Today, people want to understand you according to how you live, according to the principles of our Master. If we live that way, then we'll live by the example, and we will not live by pretense. So we are called to live, to write our own letters, and those letters be read wherever we are. May the Father add his blessing. And my brother says, it is time for what? I want to welcome my chairman and guide me about what to do next. Okay, my chairman says 0 minutes. Please, I have already given the floor. The floor is all yours now.
Thank you, Brother Laban. Now it's time to ask Brother Laban's questions on his presentation. Who has a question? Okay.
Thank you, Brother Laban. I have a question, and I would love you to state your understanding of this. I have known of a brother whom many thought that he's either lacking in brotherly love and is lacking on patience. But a brother X told that brother, from today onwards, the brother tried to tell him his blind spot. But he goes with a point of view that an elder is not critiqued. That is one. An elder rarely errs. Gets the scriptures and twists them, that on ground of 2 or 3 witnesses, that's when an error can be appreciated. So he tells this young brother, go and start your own witnessing. The Lord will give you your own people. Leave my people. Don't talk to my people that have been serving for all the past years. So with such a spirit manifested. And the brother is told that, no, you know you're lacking in brotherly love and patience towards this elder. So, basing on what you've been sharing, so that brother, also the wife makes a statement and says, I have learned that when I was afar off, I could see this brother in a very good aspect. But when I reached near, when we see people on Zoom, there is that spirituality they are exhibiting and expressing. But in reality, after meeting him, I saw something else. So, brethren come here for conversions or during fellowship. One is very humble, living next to Christ. But in reality, with the time, they change. So, what's your thinking and what is your comment on such a spirit? One, elders cannot be critiqued. That is one question. Is it right for an elder to tell a brother, because he has pointed a few areas where he thinks you're erring, and you make such statements? Leave my people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Brother Jerisha, for such a question where it's coming to us all as elders. I'm an elder, and for some good time. But what is important to note is we are to lead by example. And it is true that we cannot bring an accusation to an elder without cross-examination, without evidence. We need also to examine that. If we have clearly seen in the mind, in the tender heart and spirit, there is no brother whom we cannot bring an accusation, but always we misuse the instruction of our master in Matthew 18, 15. If some brother has an issue with you, you have an issue, go and talk to him. But always has been misused. It is like a court. People, we use it to get rid of a brother, and that's all. But the kind of spirit is, we do it with a prayer. If you want to bring something to me, please take it to the Father in prayer. Be guided of how you will do it, and with brother love. It should always be to win the brother, not to defellowship a brother or to get rid of a brother. So such a kind of spirit, when we use the scriptures wisely in the right spirit, we can sort all our differences. We can sort all our everything that is concerned, because the master knew well that as we walk around, we will get some complications, some hardship, and that's why he made a way how to find resolutions to the problem. So that's how I can advise. The way the master advised, you have a reason, take it to the brother. Win the brother, rejoice and be happy. Thank you.
Okay. Well, just to add something to what Brother Laban just said. I listened to Brother Jerisa very well, especially when he made the expression, will you leave my people alone? If you are a servant or an elder, you did not elect yourself to be an elder. It is those that you fellowship with. They look and they say, oh, we are voting so that you'll be our leader for this year. Every elder is a servant.
Yes.
Because God used you telling me the truth, I heard, and then I surrender, doesn't mean you got hold of me. And wherever you go, I just follow you. Elders do not own people.
Sure.
It is the Lord who does the calling. We are mere servants. So any elder who demonstrates such behavior, I see him practicing the nominal system.
Okay.
So we need to put him on check.
But again, yes, thank you very much, Brother Edward. Just as I've said, still we will go through the way the Master has appointed us to do so, and then we resolve it. Thank you. Thank you for that addition. It was wonderful.
Just this one question. One person.
Okay.
Thank you, Brother Laban. We appreciate the services that you just gave. My question is directly to the comparison that Jesus is making in these verses between the temple and the gold of the temple, between the altar and the gift placed on the altar. I would like to know how practically these values placed on these two distinct things can be true in our day. Because it was very true in their day as Jews that the temple and the gold of the temple was part of their daily lives and their Jewish synagogues. So was the altar and the gift of the altar, because that is how they atoned for their sins year on year. But how do we do that in the gospel age? Which ones do we place more value on, and what is the common mistake that we do in misplacing that value? If you could elaborate, that would be really nice.
Thank you, Sister Mizpah, for a well-studied question. Well, when the Master was speaking then to the Pharisees, because they were referring to the services that were done in the shadow, and they were looking at them as the great ones, as with great values. They were looking at the understanding and the shadows of the law, and they looked at them as being so great, and they were forgetting what was greater sacrifice the Master had brought, that which was bringing the fulfillment of all that was in the shadows and in the law. That now the Master and the Lord, he has come. But again, they are still looking at what the services that were done by the ancient worthies, which were just ashes, and could not value to the extent of the great sacrifice that the Master gave, and they could not understand. So, just as we've been sharing, the spiritual blind spot is lack of knowledge or of a certain truth, while looking at some other as the most important thing in comparison. So when we look at what the Pharisees were looking at, they were looking at the old things of the law and could not understand the real sacrifice, the real Master who have come to fulfill the true thing that the God had intended. So when we compare to it, they underlooked. They were looking at the tithes that they were being given, and they were comparing the tithes with the sacrifice, and they could not value them well. What we value now, it is not what we can receive when we give our life to the Master, but what we value is our way to fulfill the calling and the election which we have been called. And if we will understand that way. So the Pharisees do not understand. So the same way, if we do not understand the most important thing that the Master needs of us to serve and to live, we will also miss. As he says, that, he called them that you are hell, that, you end up in hell, you end up in destruction, you will end up when you have not received what we expected to receive. So these Pharisees or these priests the nominal Christianity, which could be some of the tendencies that still in us, would undermine us to see the real value of why we consecrated, of why we received this truth, and then capitalize on minor things. They were not looking at the real sacrifice, but looking at gold, that is resources. Maybe some of us, we have made a consecration and we are saying, oh no, we need resources. Without resources, we cannot make it. But we can make it either way. Thank you.